But briefly, before we get more into the app, I kind of wanted you to talk about a little bit about at a very high level about your current role in like a day to day of that role, and then the last question would be like, who would you believe would be a good fit to do that type of position in cybersecurity?
Okay, for sure. So my current day to day. So again, I'm a virtual chief information security officer. So, and I kind of touched on, what I do as far as overseeing things. But do I do that every single day? Of course not. It depends on what's happening, what we have in place. So maybe there is a new deployment of, or redeployment or upgrade of some type of application where I would have to do architectural reviews or application security reviews, or just a host of things. Maybe there are security tools that have fallen offline, and I had to check in with the information system security officers to ensure that those security tools have been brought back online, or at least they're coordinating with the engineers to make sure that those tools are back online. Um, I heavily oversee remediation of cloud vulnerabilities. So, for example, if for those of you that are new to the industry and may not be aware, but there's AWS, there's Azure Cloud, and then some of those tools, for example, I'd say like Prisma Cloud, that actually goes in and scans the images for any type of vulnerability. So I participate in that remediation, where I actually lead and oversee the remediation of that project to drive down the amount of vulnerabilities present in the environment. So I will coordinate on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, depending on what the findings look like, to ensure that the application teams or the development teams are actually patching and remediating those vulnerabilities or upgrading those images. Let's see. As I said, audits, that's a big one. There's annual audits. NIST recommends, an annual audit, whether it be for NIST, PCI, HIPAA. So I'll participate in an audit. Auditing is very, very stressful. It's a very, very stressful time because you have only, so much time to do it. So in a 6-week period, I may have to evaluate 250 controls or something like that. So auditing, again, client presentations on a weekly or biweekly basis. I am, showing the client what their security posture looks like. So I create all those presentations. There's just so much. It depends, really, what that looks like. But a person that would be a great fit for my role would definitely have to be a strong-minded individual. Touching on some of those soft skills and being a woman in the industry, um, it's not meant for everyone, right? I've seen some women that had a really, really hard time and really, really stressful, had really, really stressful situations being in the type of position that I'm in, because you do have to have knowledge, you have to have skills, you have to have technical aptitude to be able to understand these systems. For example, the we always talk about infrastructure, right? And asset management. And you have to be able to go to desk side engineering and ask, well, how does the laptop get delivered to the end user? And then you have to walk through those steps, because from the time that the request comes in, say you have a new employee, to the time that it gets delivered to that employee, there's many steps that are involved with that, including ensuring, mobile device management is, put on that laptop. So you have to be able to know how to go to different, you have to understand the process first, and then you also have to know how to go through each of the engineering teams and even networking and the Wintel team to get it, onto the domain and things like that. You have to be able to know how to pull everything together. And you also have to know how to research. If you don't know how to research and you're just going to these engineering teams and say, help me, you know what I'm saying? These guys are going to chew you up and spit you out and tell leadership that you don't know what you're doing. So I'm always a huge advocate on, research. And some people come to me and say, oh, Danielle, how do I do this? I would like to transition, and ask me questions that they can Google. Don't come to me asking me questions that you can Google. Come to me with like almost solutions, like, hey, I have researched this. I'm thinking I can go about it this way, but can you clarify that this is a correct process? So I know that you've already done your research. So when you're in this position, you have to do the same thing with men. You can't come to them and say, hey, I think that blah blah blah, but can you just tell me? No, you need to do a little bit more research and then come to me with solid questions so that they don't feel like you're wasting their time, if you will. So again, strong minded woman. You do have to have um, tough skin, if you will. I know, for example, when the I told you about the client, after 3 months, they wanted me to be their security manager. Well, I actually had our chief information security officer tell me that he didn't feel like I was ready or that I could do the job. And that made me cry, right? Because I'm like, dang, how dare you? How could you say that to me? Like, the client believes in me. At least, give me the opportunity to show you that I can do it. So you do have men in the industry that don't care anything about your feelings. So you have to toughen up. And this is why I tell women, like, they come to me and ask me questions. I'm like, you need to do your research. They're like, that's rude. Okay, but if you can't handle what I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to handle being in an industry that is still a male dominated industry where they're not going to care about your feelings. So to sum it up, definitely somebody that is strong minded, has great research skills, great analytical abilities. Speaking is a big one. Communication, I can't stress this enough. And that's why I believe that mentorship and being in the QRIQ program is very helpful, because when I first got into the industry, no one knew about like cybersecurity. My mom is like, oh, my baby's in cybersecurity, but then couldn't tell nobody what I did, right? And I couldn't talk to her about it because she didn't understand. So with the QRIQ community and you being able to work with the instructors in the application, you'll be able to fluently communicate almost on a daily basis with others, to be able to talk about things in cybersecurity, talk about you building out these virtual machines, how you've done it, how you made the virtual machines talk and communicate and things like that. So definitely communication is a big one, and being able to articulate your thoughts, right? Writing is another big one. And I know you're thinking, well, why, how much writing is involved? Well, it depends, right? If you have an incident that has occurred and the client wants a write up, depending on the type of environment you're in, if the client wants a write up of a root cause analysis, or even, leadership wants a write up of a root cause analysis on what caused the incident, you do have to be able um, to put in chronological order, what happened, be able to explain it in detail, including the time. So that's back to where the investigation skills came in for me and what made me a strong writer. And then personality. People love me. I'm kind of transparent in what I do. I'm honest. I notice that a lot of people that are in the industry will tell you the first thing that comes to their mind, even if it's wrong. Clients don't like that. I'm not a person that can just, if you ask me something where I can just, tell you whatever is on my mind. I'm very conscious about my credibility. I don't want anyone to come to me and think, oh, Danielle doesn't know what she's talking about. So again, I'm heavy on research. If you ask me a question and I don't know it, I say, you know what? Let me double check on that response for you, and I'll get back to you. Like, say if it's on a client call and you have to go do your research, um, definitely go do your research and then come back with the correct answer, because credibility is everything in this industry as well. So I know you like long-winded answers, but to sum it up, all of those skills will make you strong in this industry as a woman.
Perfect, perfect.